Hi everyone, how are you? Welcome to Real Law State with Patti and Kate. And we have a really juicy one tonight. And it's interesting because we were just talking about it and we almost just ran over, and you guys we were almost late for you because it was just so interesting, our conversation. So Patti, have you ever stayed at a bed and breakfast? I mean an Airbnb?
An Airbnb I did, actually. Just recently I went down to Maryland and I wanted to be able to bring my big old dog, and you can't go to a hotel with a Great Dane. So I found an Airbnb down there and we took the road trip, and that's where we stayed, and it was lovely.
And tell me a little bit about the owners.
The owner, it turns out, because when we got there, I hadn't met him. I did a little bit of my due diligence online trying to find him.
AKA stalker.
Yeah, a little bit. So, so he actually is a realtor, and he purchased this property kind of as a getaway for himself, and then learned that he could make some money doing an Airbnb, weekly when he wasn't using it.
So I have a friend who Airbnb's her third bedroom in her house. So it's on the third floor.
Wow,
it's
that's interesting.
Her daughter wanted to go to a college. So there were two colleges in this town. One of them her daughter had a full scholarship to, and the other one she did not. And guess which one her daughter wanted to go to? Yeah.
Of course.
So anyway, so she Airbnb'd her bedroom while she was gone in order to offset the cost of her college. So why are we telling you these stories? Because the way that this short-term rental scenario came was through homeowners that thought that for offsetting some costs, you have some stories that you're going to share about maybe their taxes, the tax bill, that they would do some short-term rentals. And so those are some scenarios on, I think, how it started. What would be your experience to how these weekly rentals, and what do you think? Well,
I mean, we're here in Mattapoisett, Massachusetts, which is along the waterfront for anybody who doesn't know, and there are all these beach communities, and people have been renting them out weekly forever and a day, forever. It's just the way, it's the nature, it's the characteristic, it's what happens around here in Mattapoisett. Right. And so it's a way to offset taxes, because what we know for sure, what's guaranteed in life, death and taxes. Right. So the taxes of the property went up. How are you going to offset those costs? Hey, let's rent out our lovely beach home every week, and we can offset it that way. So that's been around forever.
Okay, so that's the scenario of what we have seen for who these people are that we're talking about today. So we're talking about, generally speaking, the person who needs to make a little extra money for their taxes, or for their kids' college, or for they're only there sometimes, so they're just offsetting the cost of the place, right? Yeah. So we're not really talking about, by and large, these weekly rentals being career landlords.
No, and a lot of them around here, I've met a lot of families who maybe they were lucky enough to inherit this place. It's where mom and dad they have these fond memories growing up, going down to the beach. Yeah. They don't live around here anymore, but they want to keep that family property in the family. But the tax, of course, have increased like tenfold since when they were a child. There's insurance costs, flood insurance. Don't get me started on that conversation.
This is what happened to us.
I know, ranting.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of costs associated with it. They're just trying to save the family home. So why not offset those costs with these short-term rentals?
Okay, so sounds good to me. So tell me a little bit about your experience with the law that was passed at the end of December that's going to be effective soon.
Yes, coming up, I think it's July 1st, if it doesn't get bumped again, which would be nice, but I'm kind of doubting it at this point. Right. So here we are in what I call Taxachusetts. And so with the onset of Airbnb, Vrbo, all of those online portals, more and more people are going to the Airbnbs and forgoing the hotels. Well, of course, the state's losing a lot of revenue because they're not getting the room tax from these hotels because everybody's going to these private homes. So the state's looking to recoup some of their lost revenue. I get that. Yeah. However, there's all these, you're always talking about unintended consequences, and there's been so much that's been happening. So now the state is saying, hey, you have to register your short-term rental, anything that you're going to, it doesn't apply to your month-to-month long-term leases, your regular tenancies, or if you're only going to do this like 2 weeks out of the year.
14 days, right?
Yeah, anything more than the 14 days where you're going to do these weekly rentals, you have to register your property, and good old DOR, Department of Revenue of Massachusetts, is going to tax you 5.7% on your proceeds. And that's just at the state level.
Just Massachusetts.
Just Massachusetts. I don't know what other states are doing. Lord help us, they're probably all watching us, waiting what's going to happen. If they can recoup some money and not be sued, then they'll jump on board too. But and then the town level can also add on a tax. Some towns have done it, some towns have not. They can go up to, I think it's 6% or something.
So they redid the short-term rental lease, and they actually put in like fill in the blanks. And the first one they identified that the state on, and then they put local, and they actually put like up to 6%.
Yep.
So what Patty and I were saying earlier is like, who's going to do 3% when it says right here you can do 6%, right? And then it talked about a couple other taxes to put onto that tax while they're at it.
Yeah, because there's a community impact fee of 3% that they can tack on,
Yep.
which that one I do understand the purpose of that one. That is to offset the consequence that we're having of losing some of our low income housing and our longer term rentals, because people, if you can rent out your house for $1,500 a week versus $1,500 a month, why wouldn't you do that? So now we're losing all these other long-term rentals. So that community impact fee is supposed to go towards helping find a solution for that.
Okay.
And then if you're down the Cape,
Cape Massachusetts.
2.75% on top of that. So you're almost up to 20% that you are paying off of this rentals. The money that you're using to offset your taxes, insurance, you now have to do.
And you have to have
more.
Insurance. That's also on the thing. There's another form. There's another form for your insurance to go with it. There's 3 new forms for you realtors out there that have to be involved, as well as registering with the Department of Revenue as the person who's handling that. So I will say, from a realtor's perspective, you know, our lobbyist in the Massachusetts Association of Realtors fought this, and we said, we didn't say 2 weeks. We said, well, what about like up to 90 days? Because that is a person who, you know, might do it for the summer, as she was saying, or might do it like that. And we were trying to get a little bit more time for our owners. And what we got was 14 days. Governor Baker's law, by the way. And then the second part of that.
I like Governor Baker, but
so do I. But I don't like this one either. Because, well, we're going to keep talking about why. I know we want to keep these to about 10, 15 minutes, so we're not going to go into it all, but we will give you follow-up information on this. But the other thing about it is that it's not penalizing the people who it's like intended for. Like it's our mom and pops that are being offended. You know, 2 weeks is nothing. You know, if you're down by the water, that's just crazy talk.
Yeah, that is crazy talk. And it's not even just on the rent. So let's just say I'm going to stay at Kate's house. She's going to stay at my house. Well, there's a value to that, and they're going to tax that too.
We need to register our properties.
We need to register
for the value. And so anyway, but anyways, the way they wrote it, it needs some work, and there's some amendments going on, and they don't even have the when you go onto the Department of Revenue right now, you can't even sign up for these things that you have to register for. So,
and mind you, so when you have to pay these taxes, this isn't something you pay at the end of the year when you pay all your other taxes.
Right.
You have to pay by the 20th of the following month. So if you rent out all of April, by the 20th of May, you have to make your tax payment to the Department of Revenue.
Right. And the other thing is that if you as a real estate professional are helping with that, you have to get involved in this. And so you have to become a tax collector, and you have to register yourself. And so,
which is crazy.
It is crazy, because if for those of you out there, you know, there's a very small amount of money that you make on these rentals in the first place. And to go through this work and to put yourself out there like that kind of makes it in some ways not worth it.
No, you're making the small amount of money, but hey, we'll take on some more liability. And if you don't,
and our time's not worth anything.
No,
you know,
oh, absolutely not. And then the homeowner, if they don't follow through, now you as a professional could get in trouble. And I was just reading somewhere that the fine could be something $300 a day. What did you actually make on that as the realtor?
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. So, anyways, we wanted to talk about just exposing this today, because this is something that's going to affect our community in a very big way. And so, you know, we're talking about enforcement of this, what's going to happen with that. And again, Patty was just talking about unintended consequences, and we're going to dig into a little bit on zoning. So the thing is that we've got some challenges ahead of us, right? And, you know, we can't dig our head in the ground, but even if you wanted to be on top of things right now, you can't be, because it's not ready for you yet, right? So it's not ready for you yet, but you just wait, you just check back, because pretty soon it's going to be ready.
Yeah.
You can sign up for an email, so the Department of Revenue emails you, like, who wants that? Yeah, I just want to like put a bullseye on my back.
I really want to put myself on their list.
Yeah, so anyways, it's a little crazy town right now. I know that, you know, the realtor party is working very hard at this. And so that's, you know, from my standpoint, that's what I look at. So tell me about what else is on your paper.
So one of the things with these Airbnb short-term rentals, and again, just using our little town here as an example, there are plenty of these beach towns that they've always done these weekly rentals. It's just part of what they do every summer. They carve out on their calendar the weeks that they and their family will use, and then they rent out the rest.
Right.
Okay, so now what's happening is zoning. So if your town bylaws do not affirmatively state that you can do these short-term rentals, well, then you can't. And the great town of Hull and Nantasket Beach, they took this up on appeal, and the court said, in fact, if your bylaw doesn't say you could do these weekly rentals, well, then you are restricted. So I know a couple of cases have happened right here in Mattapoisett, where a new neighbor came in from out of town. They don't like that somebody's renting out their house, and they think what they know is best. They reported to the building department, and he had to issue a cease and desist. So these people can't even rent out the house, even though they've been doing it for decades. So now that that has happened, all you other homeowners out there, you better beware. And I suggest you go make friends with your neighbors if you're not already friends with your neighbors. Because as soon as they're irritated by maybe one of your irresponsible renters, maybe who had too much to drink, was loud one night, all they have to do is call up the building department and say, issue a cease and desist, and that's the end of that. So these towns really have to get ahead of it and start making some kind of bylaw, and that's flexible to maintain the character of this town. That's what this town is. I think if you talk to any of the
merchants, any of the merchants that they depend on the seasonal business.
Absolutely.
You know, it is part of our economy. So why are we bringing this up? Because here's the tricky part also, is that, all right, so if we make it hard for them to, because of zoning, if we make it hard for them because of the new tax, if we, again, now I'm speaking as a realtor professional, she's speaking as an attorney here, right? If this is what happens to our homeowners in this situation, what is going to be the consequence for them? Because I believe that they're not going to stop renting their place.
No.
So now the real estate agent is cut out completely, because they can't be public, because we can't help them if they're going to do it underground, right? And what else could happen, would you think?
I mean, I don't know. It seems like chaos to me at the moment. But I was saying to you earlier, you see a lot more of the rental signs. People are just putting out in the front lawn, hey, if you're looking for a weekly rental, call me, because who's going up and down the street, you know, policing this? Nobody. So that's kind of your best bet.
It can't be advertised like in our Wanderer.
No.
It can't be advertised anywhere. And here's the other thing, my realtor friends. So say your friend, your family, they did this, and they call you and they say, what do you think I should do? How can I do this? All right. And you're like, all right, so I can't help you because of this. But the thing is that even if you guide them, you are responsible. Okay. So you're responsible, even though you do not take them on as a client, and even though you do not earn a penny off of them. When it comes back and they get scrutinized about what the journey was on this and what the process was, and they say, was there a real estate agent involved? And they say, no. No, I talked to my real estate friend, cousin, or whatever, and she told me, no, I can't use her. So she said I had to do it this way. Then you are still responsible and you're liable. So you can't even be part of like the solution in any way.
No.
You know, and so it's unfortunate. All right. So I do want to talk about, just for a couple minutes, because is that the reason that this taxation came was because a lot of investors saw value in, say, like in Boston, buying buildings that were having a lot of apartments and turning them into Airbnbs. And so it did impact their rental market. It did impact their affordable housing, and it did impact their sales. So there was some issues going on, and there was some, again, unintended consequences of where Airbnb and those type programs went. But that's not our reality right down here.
No, I don't think that. I mean, we always had a affordable housing issue down here anyways. And again, Airbnb is just doing it on a larger scale. So this has been going on in Mattapoisett forever. As long as I've been alive, as long as you've been alive, longer. This has always been going on.
We used to summer here.
It's just nationalized now. And this is not a bash on Airbnb, because I think, quite frankly, why didn't I think of that? Like, it was brilliant. Like,
well, and honestly, if you ever hear the story of Airbnb, like when they started out, they would go and stay at these places and they would help these people, and they would, like, their commitment to client service is incredible, you know, and how they built it. So it's not like they're, you know, they're an amazing business journey.
Yes.
And by the way, they have some lawsuits against Massachusetts. Yes. Because they're saying
all kinds of things.
We looked at that. We're like, we can't even talk about that because that's not even in our lane. Freedom of speech,
contractual issues,
just a whole bunch of things in a whole bunch of ways that they feel that their rights are being minimized, as well as their homeowners' rights or the investors' rights or whatever. And also the person who has to collect that tax. And it's also saying that they shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah,
and
why are they the enforcer?
Right.
Just like, why is the realtor the enforcer, or the property manager the enforcer?
And how are they going to go in business of paying those taxes by the end of the month, the next month? Yeah. So there's a whole can of worms that has been opened up, you know, and the challenge is, to me, is that how do you be the best professional you can be when the rules don't make any sense?
That's a loaded question, Kate.
That's what she said. Don't be like that on this. Don't
ask me questions I can't answer, because I can't answer that one.
Right,
there's too many ifs. There's too many variables. You just have to make people aware, especially if they're friends. Like, I don't know that I'd be doing property management for these short-term rentals at this point. It's just so much responsibility, and
you can't even help them, though. No. That's the thing. Is like, that's my problem. Is I don't know how to help. What I can say is, you as individuals can practice your activism. Yeah. Okay. You can speak to your legislators. You can call Mr. Baker, Mr. Governor, and say to him how it's impacting our community, and talking about some of those unintended consequences. Yeah. We on the realtor level, I know that we are doing that. We are going through and sharing our stories, because people learn with stories. So he needs to hear your stories. You know, we want to be able to help you. Yeah. You know, and you know, when Patty's talking about zoning and she's talking about the other things that she's seeing on the legal aspect of it, you know, we want to help you. And you need to help yourself as well, because you cannot ostrich, which is put your head in the sand and hope it goes away. And yes, you could do it illegally, or as we said, we think it's going to go underground. Here's the thing. Now your neighbors have the power because of reporting you. Your tenants that are in there now know that if they report you, you're in trouble, right? So everybody knows that you could be in trouble, and they hold that against you. And the dynamic,
not bliss in
the dynamic changes significantly. One thing I know for sure is that the person who does this just for a little extra money, that does not become a career person on this. The laws are too deep and too convoluted. You cannot figure them out yourself, and you will say at the end of the day, it's not worth it. Yeah. And that's the problem, because it has to be worth it, because that's your kid's tuition. Right. You know, that's your taxes. That's keeping that house for your grandparents. That's
cost benefit analysis. You know, is it really worth going forward and doing this? What are my ultimate costs on this? What's my liability exposure on this? Yeah. And what am I really getting in the end? Is it even worth it? Right. And what a shame it would be in our little town if all of a sudden these weekly rentals kind of dried up because of that.
Right, the ripple effect, the economy, right? The restaurants, the gift shops, the hairdressers, you know, the beach fees that we get from these people, you know, all these things that they would change, the flavor would change. And, you know, I know some people have already put the steps in order, but you can't even, because they're not there for you yet, you know, and we haven't established the rate it's going to be locally. Yep. So we can't even speak with authority if you called and said, what can I do for my week this year?
I have to give you the lawyerly answer of, it depends. Which is of no help to anyone.
I know.
And this one, it's interesting too, because, you know, if a town doesn't have a tax or doesn't have a zoning regulation allowing the short-term rentals, can they still charge you the room tax when they don't allow? I don't know.
So think about that. So it's time to assess the tax, and all the locals say, oh, good, we're going to make a little money because you know if it's up to 6%, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
So then they're like, but wait a minute, they're not legal in our town.
Yeah.
So we can't say, okay, it's not legal for you to do it,
illegal
but
activity.
since it's not legal, here's your tax anyways.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just convoluted.
It's absurd. Stop the madness.
Right. So help, guys. Okay. So we talked about what do we want our call to action. We always try to give you a solution at the end of these, right? And ordinarily it's call us for our help, but we can't this time. You have to help yourself.
Yeah.
You call your legislators, get educated on this. Put in something to Governor Baker. Like reach out to people who can hear the stories. They respond when they have the emails that come through, and they have a stack of emails, all with people with stories about how this is going to impact them. That matters to them. Okay.
Yeah. And I just want to add really quick is on the Mass government website, they do have a whole section on this.
Yes, they do.
For the most part, I hate their website because you got to click like 4 different pages to get what you really wanted to begin with. But this particular page, I have to say, is fairly informative. It even has on there a link to the upcoming amendments to it because they've already found problems with it. So
right, so they're trying to work them out.
They're trying to work them out.
I think we have that link open on our computer, so we will post that to you all. And if anyone needs copies of these things and you have trouble finding them, let us know. We can help you with that.
Yeah.
But we need how you can help us is by helping yourself.
Or even finding a solution. So there's an issue where the state has lost this revenue. We have an issue with affordable housing. But people should be able to do what they've always done, rented out their homes. Like, what's the solution? Maybe there's a different solution. Maybe you out there are smarter than all of us. Maybe you have a solution.
With your fresh eyes and your fresh ears.
Yeah, that doesn't require a 20% tax when you're all said and done with the whole, state and local taxation.
And never mind collecting it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and registering. Anyway, so that's the good news for today.
Woo.
And we are going to be doing a bold nose on this at some point. So we will have a guest speaker coming in and helping us with this and helping you with it. So we'll post that. Guys, you got to come. This is for everybody. This is for the public. Yeah. This is for our real estate agent friends, for our broker owner friends. This is for our community.
Yeah, you don't have to be a bold moves realtor here.
No, you don't.
Anywhere.
You don't. You can be whoever you are. We want you here. We do
brainstorm with us.
Come brainstorm because you know what? It's activism. It's boots on the ground. That's how we're going to get this thing solved.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we say hi really quick to Megan Aroni of Brick Road Mortgage? Because she watches us every week.
And she's
Hello,
awesome.
Megan.
So stick with the brick. And Sonia,
stick with the brick.
Yeah.
Pick the brick.
Pick the brick. Stick with the brick. Well, you pick them and then you stick with them.
Love them.
And Sonia, hi, how are you doing?
Woo-hoo.
So, and those of you who watch in replay, right? You can start by now by giving us your comments, giving us your stories, because it's really, really important. This is a really important thing. This is part of our community. This is part of what sells. I mean, our logo for the town is what? Mattapoisett is special.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it's, thank you. So anyway, do you want to say goodbye to them?
Okay. All right. Well, I think you can tell if you did not feel the energy from this little live video, there's something wrong with you because we get fired up from this. So we're so glad you joined us. We want to hear from you. Like Kate said, join us on Thursday. And it's been nice chatting with you.
Right. And be part of the solution with us. We're going to fight like crazy too.
Have a good night.